Hello, this is Dread, and in today's video topic, we're going to be going over the interview that Talkative Try, Mike, Ross, and Carve had yesterday about last Epoch. Mainly going to be going over all of the Weaver's nodes for the Weaver tree that we're getting next patch. Just remember, they talked about a lot more than just this, but Carve was nice enough to hover over most of the nodes on the Weaver's tree, so we can actually go in deep dive into it. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So get a cup of coffee. We're just going to be relaxing and reading off some nodes and talking about it. So the first node we're going to be talking about is Eight Eyes in the Dark. Beacons never appear on the Monolith of Fate, but we have chances to get additional Spiderling packs. Now, Spiderlings are really good for just generic density, but I don't think turning off beacons is worth doing this unless the amount of Spiderlings you get is massive. The amount of Spiderlings to make up for this fact would have to be a lot, so it says your echoes have a chance to contain additional Spiderling packs. I'm not entirely sure if that means every echo individually, like if you have like a 5% chance to open it up and have a bunch of Spiderling packs, or it's just a 5% chance for them to show up. But overall, this is definitely not worth it in my opinion, unless if those Spiderling packs are huge, as you know, beacons are very good. Beacons allow you to search out more stuff and probably search out tombs and cemeteries from what we're thinking and looking at from all this. Like, tombs and cemeteries are going to be very important. So being able to find them as much as possible on the Monolith web is going to be important. So turning off your beacons is probably not necessarily a good idea, but it really just depends on how good all the Spiderlings are, right? Beacon of the Ascended. Beacons in your Echo Web have a chance to be replaced by super beacons. I actually don't know what this means. This could be extrapolated for a few different things. I think the easiest thing to think about when it comes to this would be like if it, showed more of the Echo Web instead of just like a small part of the Echo Web. So in theory, you could show like even a bigger swath of, the Monolith of Fate. So I think that's what this is going to do. And a 35% chance is actually a pretty high chance to just have super beacons every single monolith. So that means that, like, in theory, um, like every single monolith like reset, like when you go and kill Oribus and stuff like that, because you get multiple beacons throughout those. So being able to open up more territory to find more exalted item like things. Now remember, in Merchant's Guild this is a lot more important because those exalted and those like uniques and all that, like if you're trying to like farm unique rings, right, this will allow you to find more unique ring monos and like Age of Winter. So this is going to be a little bit more important for Merchant's Guild and COF, but for COF, it'll be fine too because you're going to be wanting to farm every single tomb in COF probably. So this is overall just a good node, being able to find more tombs and cemeteries, which are going to be really important. Place a weapon or jewelry item to imprint it in the slot to have a small chance to drop a pile of similar items when killing enemies in your regular echoes. This is a huge change and a huge direction into Last Epoch's future. Killing enemies and getting loot inside the Monolith of Fate was never really a thing back in the day. So having the ability to manipulate that and also add loot to your monoliths is such a huge change, and Commoner's Riches is such a good way of doing that. Not only does it let you choose what item you get to, have it similar items from. I'm going to assume similar items mean like similar base types, similar affixes, stuff like that, but oh my goodness, is this going to be very good. I think this is going to be really, really good, and it's going to allow you to actually kill stuff in monolith webs and actually want to, like, not necessarily full clear zones, but in theory, if you combine this with like one of the previous nodes, like the Spiderling pack nodes, and then you get like a Spiderling pack proc, right? You can just like kill a bunch of Spiderlings and try to get a bunch of these items, right? In theory, that could work. I mean, like, it's looking like as though we're going to actually be able to juice our monoliths, which I'm really excited for. Champions have a chance to spawn in pairs in your echoes. So a lot of the things that we're seeing right now for like champions and stuff like that, it feels as though they're becoming our nemesises. Not nemesis from, of course, like our nemesis. Nemesis, i.e., as in Path of Exile 1's nemesis system, where they would drop like a bunch of loot and everything, where you had like Nem 3 and beyond and all that. Well, it seems like champions are going to be taking that kind of idea and pushing it into last epoch. We can twin the champions, so we can end up getting a lot of extra rares on our maps. It seems like as though rares are going to be the thing that drop loot in the future, at least with champions anyways. And these champions can also drop those champion affixes, which a lot of them seem like as though they're strong, especially when they drop Exalted. They'll especially be strong when you're trying to like set craft, as they are, pretty much perfect for set crafting. So in theory, dual destruction is going to be an S tier node on the tree, just being able to get a lot of champions in your map. Echoing Riches. Place an armor or jewelry item to imprint it into the slot to have a chance to drop a pile of similar items as an extra reward when you receive Echo rewards. So the idea here is we place like some kind of item, and then we go and zoom through monos. Like we literally do every single mono as quickly as possible. So the idea here is this would incentivize gameplay where you just try to complete objectives as quickly as possible, put on as much movement speed, cooldown recovery speed, and just run through monos, right? In theory, that will be really nice, as we can have different playstyles in the Monolith of Fate, and this is incentivizing a rushing playstyle. Similar items are more likely to have the same rarity, subtype, and affixes as the imprinted item. So if you use like an Exalted item with affixes that you want, you could easily drop a bunch of them. When imprinting a unique item, the similar items also have a chance to being the exact same unique. That is insane. Of course, obviously it's not always going to be the red ring of Valeria when you put it in there, but it's definitely a good idea. Items dropped this way are affected by normal drop requirements. This also includes subtypes, affixes, or uniques that are not dropped by normal enemies, meaning you can't put like champion affixes in here and get a bunch of champion affixes. So yeah, Echoing Riches is insane for the Monolith objective rush strategy, which used to be the way to go. This plus all the objective reward stuff, this is going to be really strong if you just build movement speed and all you do is just complete objectives all day. This is really interesting. One of the best nodes, we actually already knew about this, but Eclipse Battleground. Arena echoes no longer appear on your echo web. And from what I saw from the live stream also as well, this is very near the center. So what you're going to be able to do is dip into like a few tombs here and there, get a few points on your Atlas tree, get Eclipse Battleground, and then stop progressing on your tree for a little bit, get to empowered monos, and then do so again. And this will improve your speed significantly, as arena echoes suck. Not only do arena echoes suck just for generic gameplay, they also suck for the last node we were talking about, where you want to be completing echo objectives as quickly as possible, and arenas are the exact opposite of that. So being able to turn them off in certain strategies is going to be able to push like things to the limit, and it's going to up your favor per hour significantly. And I'm really excited for this node to come into the game, as I fucking hate arena echoes. Elder Sap, you have a chance for your echoes to spawn with the Memory Amber reward type. So this is interesting, as you could combine this with the Echoing Riches, right? And make everything into a big chance to make everything into Memory Amber reward types. This is good, because if we need a bunch of Memory Amber, let's say for re-rolling idols and stuff like that, that's going to be important. So re-rolling idols is going to be like a big sink of Memory Amber in the future. So having access to being able to turn all our echoes into Memory Amber reward types, on top of course, Echoing Riches that we saw before, I think that this is going to end up being very good for us, as it will allow us to focus on Memory Amber, like get as much as possible, right? That's going to be great. Speaking about that, Echo rewards have a chance to be doubled on completion. This is really good for Merchant's Guild. It's a little bit less good for COF. I guess it's additive with the COF bonus for the chance to be doubled, but this is really good if you're doing that aforementioned strat where you're trying to get as much, get as much Memory Amber as possible. But from what I'm seeing so far, the Echo rewards are starting to be juiced up a little bit in a way where they'll actually be interesting to farm in Merchant's Guild. So that'll be fun, especially with like what we're seeing from some of the nodes in the future here. All right, the next node here is we have Exalted Challenger. Your echoes have a high chance to spawn a champion. It's 20% chance. And also as well, additionally, champions have a chance to drop additional exalted items in your echoes. So this is, like I said, the nemesis idea where we make a bunch of rare enemies in our monoliths and we kill all of them. And this is going to make it much better, as not only do we get additional exalted items, which are of course the trade of last epoch. Exalted items are what everyone wants, so that's what you should be farming for. And of course as well, increased champion spawn rate. Absolutely amazing node. Lost caches drop additional exalted item in your echoes. This is actually pretty good for that one idea that I had before where we rush objectives. The idea is we'd be running through a bunch of monoliths and we're probably going to find a lot of lost caches in general. So having additional exalted items pop out of them is pretty good if you're trying to do that echo rush strategy. Very good note for that. Nemesis encounters are more common in your echoes. You're going to be probably taking this on every single character ever, as Nemesis can give you like double exalted T7 items. So of course we're going to be doing this. Nemesis is very good for also creating and cooking a lot of uniques. The idea is we're going to be dropping a lot of uniques, so we need a lot of Nemesises to be cooking said uniques. So increasing the Nemesis spawn rate is very important. So this is probably going to be a 3 out of 3 for every single passive tree. Speaking about Nemesis, this actually also applies with that objective rushing strategy where we run through monoliths as quickly as possible. We juice up our Nemesis chance, and then when a Nemesis escapes through a portal after being empowered, it drops exalted weapons that can be upgraded if you kill a Harbinger. Before, the only way to get these weapons would be to actually kill the Harbingers themselves, but often you wouldn't find them. But this gives you a better way of finding them. So actually we can get those stupid scepters with like the 20 flat and the 8% base crit. We can finally find those stupid things. After thousands and thousands of hours of playing 1.2, I can tell you that, like, yeah, those things are insanely rare. So having Forsaken weaponry on the tree is going to help out with that kind of grind very easily. Very nice. Fury and Fortune, all rare enemies, are permanently enraged, but they drop additional runes and glyphs. This is going to be what you grab if you're trying to juice up your champions as much as possible with like the Nemesis idea. Dropping additional runes is very important next patch, as a lot of the runes, like runes of Havoc and Redemption, are insanely strong. So you're going to want as many of those as humanly possible. And of course, Glyphs of Despair is pretty good. Of course, runes of Creation. So in general, this is probably going to be the node you grab when you want to completely juice your monos. Gatekeeper's Bounty, rare enemies have an additional chance to drop dungeon keys and dungeon key charms. This is really good, as this can allow you to get a lot of Temporal Sanctum keys. One of the biggest problems right now currently holding back Temporal Sanctum farming for like Vessel of Strife is the lack of keys that you get. So being able to get more Temporal Sanctum keys is very important, as you can get those, of course, Vessel of Strifes and stuff like that. So having more access to keys, and of course we're going to be slamming more, uniques as well. So just having more access to dungeon keys is going to be great. Also, as well, dungeon key charms are very good as well. Gift of Allegiance. You have a chance for favor caches to spawn in your echoes. This is pretty good, as for that objective rushing idea, you're not going to get as much favor per hour, but in theory, if you run these nodes right, you can actually end up just getting a lot of favor caches. This is going to be insane for favor per hour if you're going to go objective rushing, like I said before. So having favor caches is going to be great. This is probably going to be a 2 out of 2 node on almost every single character if you're farming favor. Favor is like the lifeblood, especially for COF, so having more extra favor in your monos is important. Loot lizards in your echoes always drop a unique item, and they have double the chance to drop their tail. So having every single loot lizard drop a unique item is really good for trying to find those rare uniques like Red Ring of Atlaria, as you just want to drop as many uniques as humanly possible. And uniques are just really good right now in Last Epoch, so just having more of them, even if they don't drop with LP, you can nemesis them, you can use them to reroll other uniques. So in general, uniques are going to be very important next patch. So getting even more of them with loot lizards is going to be great. Giveaway coins. Echoes you discover on your echo web that would have the gold reward have a different random reward instead. This is very good, especially if you're objective rushing. The reason why is because generally when you're objective rushing, you just want all the really good echo rewards. So being able to re-roll it into something that's random might end up allowing you to get more, unique rings per hour if you're in like Age of Winter or something like that. So in theory, that could actually be really good. I really like this as it allows you to manipulate your monolith and get you the exact echo rewards that you want, right? Also, as well, the gold reward in general is just not really that good. So being able to just get rid of that in general is great for just generic farming. Hidden scales. Opening a cache in your echoes has a chance to spawn a loot lizard. So this can end up being a lot of loot lizards as you're objective rushing and trying to open as many caches as possible, especially with the favor cache that we saw before. So just getting extra loot lizards is great. Very good. Nothing crazy here. Also, as well, like green loot lizards are very good for corruption pushing. So overall, in general, just getting more loot lizards is great. Speaking about loot lizards, hoarding reptiles, loot lizards spawn more often in your echoes. That's good. That's just generically good, to be honest. Like, I'm pretty happy with that. Very good. Keyless exchange. Echoes you discover on your echo web that would have had an arena key reward have different random rewards instead. This is insane, as arena key rewards are absolute garbage and trash. So being able to just get more in general is going to be great. Like ignoring all of those, like it's going to be great, dude. Like objective rushing actually might end up being a really good strat next patch, as losing all of these arena keys and stuff like that, it's going to be wonderful. I think it's going to be way better than before, because there's a lot of echo rewards that are just kind of straight up trash, to be honest with you. Lizard's Inheritance. Loot lizards in your echoes have a chance to drop a pile of exalted items. If you're going for that loot lizard strat, right, exalted item pile chance is pretty good, as like I said, getting tier 7s is very important, especially with all the new runes and stuff like that. So pumping out as many exalted items as humanly possible is going to be a strat that most people employ. So even more exalted items like this is going to be great, especially when you get those really big pools of lizards and stuff like that. It's going to be wonderful. Loomed Riches. Place a woven echo to imprint it in the slot for it to have a chance to spawn on your echo web when a new echo is generated. For the echo like rush strategy, like I was talking about before, this is very good for that, because if there is an echo, like a woven echo that you can imprint on your like atlas, right, that actually ends up being really good for like favor farming, this is insane. Being able to get better favor per hour is gonna be great. Like imagine there's a woven echo that drops like a unique item that you want, you can put it in here. This is gonna be really good for that super beacon playstyle, where of course you just open up as many echoes as possible and you would just objective rush, objective rush, objective rush, and this is just feeding into that and making that strategy much better. So, Necropolis of the Weaver, rare enemies inside your tombs and cemeteries have additional chance to drop woven echoes. I'm going to assume woven echoes are going to be really good for certain types of farming. Like, for instance, if you're champion farming, I'm going to assume there's going to be like some woven echoes that have more champions in them and stuff like that. And of course, remember, you put the woven echo onto your Monolith of Fate, meaning that they will get all of the bonuses from the tree. So if you find a woven echo, right, if there's a woven echo that spawns champions and then you grab all the champion nodes, turns out that's going to be really good. So woven echoes are just in general going to just be very good. So having more woven echoes is probably going to be really, really, really good next patch. Purge Horizon. Killing Shade of Orbis no longer grants corruption to your timeline. This is very useful, as a lot of setups, after you get to like 1,000 corruption, you want to reset your monolith web as quickly as possible to like search for more echo rewards and stuff like that. So being able to kill Orbis without having to reset the web, because otherwise, you'd have to go and reduce your corruption 10 by 10. This allows you to effectively stall your corruption. Also, as well, there's something interesting about this is if you run a mono, okay, and you get to the next mono, and then you have like a catch-up Oribus, right? This Oribus is made to catch up with the rest of your echo. But if you never catch up in corruption, does that spawn again after you run another echo? In theory, every other echo could be killing a Shade of Orbis. So that could be really good for just farming his uniques in general. So hopefully they actually, put some thought into this and did not allow us to just kill a Shade of Orbis every other echo. I'm hoping that isn't the case, but that's going to be interesting. That's going to be very good if you're an Apathy's Maw enjoyer. I'll tell you that much right now. Reflections of Oribus. Completing a Tomb of the Erased or killing a Shade of Orbis in your echoes have a chance to drop a Confluence of Oblivion. If you don't know, Confluence of Oblivion is a woven echo guarded by a gauntlet of shades. Like I said before, if you're going to be farming for an Apathy's Maw or the Ring or Omnis or whatever, this is the thing that you're going to want to do a bunch of times. You're going to want as many Confluence of Oblivions as possible and kill as many Orbises as possible to get as many Apathy's Maw and stuff like that as possible, because in theory, if you do this enough, you could end up with like a 2 to 3 LP apathy. You could end up with, of course, the rings, like 4 LP rings. You could end up with like 2 LP belts and the boots as well. If you really need the boots for a certain build, like you need all that cooldown recovery speed. So in theory, this will be really good for just trying to get as many Oribises as possible. This will also be really good for pushing up corruption, because like more shades, the better. Rewritten reality, glyphs you discover on your echo web that would have had a glyph reward would have a different random reward instead. Same thing like we saw before. This is going to end up being very good for, of course, echo rushing. So being able to rewrite all of the bad echo rewards is insane for us. We're going to be able to rush as many echoes as possible. So this is going to be great. Like, this is just going to be great in combination with everything else. Like, nothing too crazy here. Just, it's going to be amazing for that, like, monolith rush strategy. Runic Diversion. Echoes you discover on your echo web that would have had a rune reward had different reward instead. Same thing as the last one. Very good. Very, very, very good. Although rune rewards might not be something you want to undo. And the reason for that being is runes of Havoc and Redemption are very good. So if they're ending up to be rare, you might actually not want to remove rune rewards from your Monolith of Fate. But in general, this is generally what most people are going to grab. Runic Horde. You have a chance of pile of runes to drop when you complete an Echo objective. This is going to be absurdly strong with the Echo Rush objective like thing, 20% chance. Like, if you're objective rushing, this is going to be one of the ways that you go about it. This can end up with a lot of runes of Havoc and runes of Redemption, so, and runes of Creation as well. So overall, this is a very good node for that kind of strategy. Loot Lizard Shrines are more common in your echoes. Loot Lizard Shrines on top of Loot Lizard stuff is going to be really good. You can probably scale into Loot Lizards, and probably in theory, right, if you think about it, if you do like the Echo Rush objective stuff, you could actually just end up with more shrines in your maps in general like this. So you can like fish for Loot Lizard Shrines, and of course, you know, buff up Loot Lizard drops. So that could be an interesting strategy as well. Loot Lizards in general are just good things to kill, so this is great. Place an armor or weapon and print it in this slot to have a chance to drop a pile of echoes when opening lost caches in your echo. This is going to be good for that echo rush strategy that I talked about. You know, you can place in like a red ring, or not red ring, place like, I don't know, a Titan heart and get more Titan hearts or whatever, right? Like, this is just really good for us. Like, this is very good for us. I'm going to assume it follows the same rules as all the other ones do, where you can't place like boss uniques in there, but overall, very nice, very good, very, very good for us. Same thing as before, getting rid of all of the bad echo rewards, especially after they nerf the experience rewards for favor farming. This is really good, as the experience rewards are shit, so getting rid of them is great. The Abyssal Trap. A random shade of Orbis can now sometimes ambush you in your echo. Now, the only problem that I have with this is the fact that, like, if you want his uniques, you just do Confluence of Oblivion a bunch of times. So just having extra shades while you're, you know, running it through monoliths might not be ideal in theory. Who knows? Maybe if we get stuff that like makes bosses drop more stuff, maybe it'll be better. But right now, Confluence of Oblivion seems to be the best way to get a bunch of shades. Although this will be really funny to like walk into a mono and immediately get assaulted by a shade. It would be rather entertaining now, wouldn't it? Vaulted Keychain. Your echoes have a higher chance to spawn with the new reward type, which grant dungeon keys and dungeon key charms. This is actually very good if you need a bunch of Temporal Sanctum keys. Other than that, it's not good. If you need a bunch of Temporal Sanctum keys, this is good. If you don't, you don't. Warden of the Dead. Tombs and cemeteries in your echoes have a chance to include a possessed nemesis encounter. So having even more nemesises is great. You want as many of these as possible, as nemesises are just very good in general. Although I'm not entirely sure how it exactly works, although the possession we've seen before with like the memory amber and stuff like that. So, but in theory, this should be really good in general. Warden's Echo. Your echoes have a chance to spawn a rare enemy alongside a pack from a specific dungeon. That drop that dungeon's respective key and have a chance to drop their respective dungeon boss unique item. This is going to be absurdly good. This is going to be just really good in general, as getting random Peak of the Mountains while you're farming is going to be great. Getting random Vessel of Stripes while you're farming is going to be great. And dropping more keys, of course, is going to be great if you're trying to, of course, Temporal Sanctum farm for like a Vessel of Strife, or you're trying to farm for the unique items from the Echo and all that. Like doing this, it's going to be great being able to just farm for dungeon uniques while also farming monoliths. This is also going to be good for the market because you're going to end up people randomly picking this and then randomly getting a 3 LP peak of the mountain on the floor. So we're going to end up with more peaks of the mountain in the market in general. So I'm really excited for this. Warlord's Riches. Place an item to imprint this slot to make champions sometimes drop a pile of items of the same item type that have a sealed affix matching one of the affixes on the imprinted item. So that is really good. Uh, that is really good. You could kind of like try to farm for like a tier 7 at a sealed affix from one of these guys and then put it in here, and then you drop a bunch of them. The tier of the sealed affix roll can roll up to the tier of the corresponding affix on the item. The chance of the pile of these items dropping is multiplied by the number of affixes on the item. Oh, okay. So if you have multiple affixes on the item, it'll make it bigger. So you can end up with more items. That ooh, ooh, ooh. Like I'm thinking here, dude. Like, yeah. This Nemesis champion farming strategy might actually end up being very good, it turns out.